12 seconds to just 6.8. So third's catching second. Second is caught just about first. And Suzuki ready to dive down the inside of the Honda, but he doesn't quite do it. Malcolm Campbell hangs on grimly and moves right over and says, all right, if you want to do that, and I'll come over and I'll have a slipstream. So it's Robert Holden back into the lead again, and it's taken a very long time for him to get there, picking up the time that Brent Jones, his co-rider, lost. And Jones was doing the right thing. He was making sure the bike was in good order, not crashed when he gave it back to Robert Holden, who is electrifyingly fast. In fact, Graham Crosby, you reckon it's about the fastest bike in a straight line?
Well, I was just saying that before to you. Well, this number 12 bike here that we're looking at has got so much speed down the straight, it's unbelievable. Now, I know all these bikes are supposed to be standard, and I'm not suggesting it likewise, but the speed differential can be quite a lot between this one and a lot of the other standard ones out there.
And Malcolm Campbell trying to hang on to Robert Holden. Tremendous racing, it really is. With not much over half the Castrol, not much under half the Castrol 6 hours still to come. And as I said, third place catching this pair. They are about 6.8 seconds back to third place Kevin McGee. So Greg Hansford, you reckon it will get closer as the race goes on?
Yes, it will. I think you'll find that McGee will be up there with them in about another 10 or 15 laps.
Malcolm Campbell. As we watched there and waited for the gap to Kevin McGee, Malcolm Campbell has dropped it in the slow left-hander. And so moving away is Robert Holden in the lead. Kevin McGee must by now be in second place. And Malcolm Campbell, on the one hand, wondering how on earth he let it happen, and on the other, frantically trying to get the thing underway again. And there from fifth place is number 14. Action Suzuki bikes have been down in practices and again on race day. Not, of course, the lead bike number 12. It's had a fine time. Well, the only one that hasn't been decked, in fact, during qualifying as well. That's Gary Goodfellow, Michel Mercier bike, underway again, but it was in fifth place.
He's definitely taken the left-hand foot peg off. You can see he's got nothing to, he can't even put his foot on anything there. So that's at least going to be probably 10 minutes to change, put a new one on.
And into the pits comes the race leader, and he is perhaps a minute too early. He might end up with another pit stop because he was due in at 3:36.
And indeed, you're right, Will, he's 3 minutes too early. I don't know whether he's miscued or whatever, but he certainly told the team that he wanted to come in. He's the only one of the three Action Suzuki still in action, in fact. Behind him, the bikes 14 and 15 are both out of the race, both with suspension problems. This is a fast stop. Change of a rear tyre and gone in 19.87 seconds with Brent Jones on the bike. We've seen some real heroes out in the Castrol 6 hour today, and Robert Holden certainly is one of them. Rob, the race pace very savage.
It's pretty fast out there. I'm just going as fast as I can go. The traffic puts a few slow laps in, but it's after the third hour now, and we're doing 17s and stuff. It's just really quick pace.
You forced Mal Campbell into error?
I just caught up with him and just, pushed him as hard as I could, and I found a little bit of a gap and managed to make a break on them. I just didn't look around, just kept going forward.
The bad news for the rest of your teammates, however, is that they're having suspension problems. One bike out of the race, the other one struggling.
Yeah, we haven't had any suspension problems yet. Maybe they're a little bit harsher on the bikes or down change it a little bit different. Brent rides the bike pretty smoothly, and I don't think I'm too hard on the bike, so hopefully we'll have no trouble at all.
Brent's a bit off your pace.
Yeah, well, he's used to riding 250 GP bikes. It's the second time he's ever raced a production bike, but he'll be there at the end, it'll be no problem.
Means it's going to be pretty hard for you to get back on, because presumably you're going to have to make up a bit of time.
Well, we've done it in the last two stints, so we'll just have to do it in the last one.
In ninth place outright, his bike number 16, Wellbank Motorcycles, Rob Duran and Aaron Slight. It has been a bit of a troublesome weekend for them because John Jenkins crashed yesterday, breaking his pelvis. He was taken to Westmead Hospital by the rescue helicopter, and they then had a massive rebuild of the bike. It didn't look anything like that yesterday, the colour scheme of it. But let's go down to the pits.
The bike battered. Mal Campbell's bike into the pits. He's lost quite a deal of his handlebar arrangement. Clutch is gone entirely. It's not looking good for the Malcolm Campbell bike. The fuel tank dented as well. Ian Perro was going to get on it. They've called it a day. They've put the motorcycle away. So for Mal Campbell, the Castrol 6-hour motorcycle race is over. The team consoling themselves and walking straight off. There's no way known that that motorcycle was going to go out there again and be competitive. The abject disappointment of failure in the Castrol 6-hour, Malcolm Campbell. What went wrong, Mel?
We ended up locking a brake up at the end of the main straight, trying to make up a bit of ground on Robert Holden's superbike, and I was getting pretty dejected with the speed that it had, and I wanted to run with him to my fuel stop. I overcooked it a bit. I guess the race got the best of me, but I'm really disappointed for my teammate Ian Perro and the team. They've put in so much work. I'm afraid we're out of the race now. That's all we can say, really.
That's a pretty heavy allegation, superbike.
Well, I think we could... I don't know whether anything can be done after the race or not, but I know they had the bike to bits last night, but I'd like to find out the scrutineer that was watching them do it, because it's definitely not the same bike that was here the other day.
Just how much faster is it than you down the straight?
Well, it was quite interesting. I thought it was fast in the early session when he passed me, so when he come to lap me or pick up the lead in that particular session, I knew he was right on my tail. I went right to the other side of the track. He didn't even use my slipstream and still pulled 50 metres on me down the straight.
The Kawasaki from 5th place, the team that had the most wretched luck in recent times, has crashed. It's out of the race. That's the Paul Feeney, Chris Oldfield bike. It was Chris Oldfield, I think, on it at the moment. And it's a wreck. And that's a team that's seen Len Willing crash and go out of the race, or go out of motorcycle racing for some months. That happened a month ago. Seen Jeff McNaughton get on the bike and crash, testing its surface, and he's out. Nothing to do with the bike, just really bad run of luck for the team and for the riders that have been in it. And in fact, it's the team that Robbie Phillips could have joined. He was invited to ride for them. And I wonder if, in the light of the competitiveness of the bike and the way that comments he made about his Suzuki, whether he now regrets that he didn't take up the offer.
Must be some oil down there.
And there must be oil down there in the bottom section of the circuit, because bike 34, John Shannon, Brett Bayliss, the RZ 350, the little twin-cylinder two-stroke, that's gone down too. And so whether the Kawasaki spread oil or whether there was oil there already.
Graham Trinder there as well.
So let's hope the officials get the flags out and stop it happening to anybody else. And it's Trinder down too. Craig Trinder, he was riding number 18 with Trevor Manley and Alan Cunningham. 18 was well back in the field. It had been up in about 12th place. It slipped back behind that in recent times.
I was speaking to him earlier on, and he said he was a little disappointed with the speed of the Suzuki that he was riding. And one of the things he said was that the bike has probably done about 10 Castrol 6-hour races virtually. It's a pretty old and bent one, and it was getting a bit old and a bit tired. He couldn't really put the laps together.
And the news is that it's not Paul Feeney on the bike, Will. In fact, it's Sean Gallagher, the reserve rider. Feeney has gone home to his motel absolutely dog sick.
Oh, and absolutely swooping past 5th place number 4. That is, of course, the second of the Yamaha dealer team bikes. Jim Felice, John Kosinski is the second place bike as he goes back a place again, as the determined little Jim Felice pushes him back. And this is, of course, Brent